Hands, are we the baddies?
Greetings, fellow mortals. Just a reminder, saying it's just my opinion is for cowards. There was a reason that I waited until seeing the end of IronHeart before I publicly stated my thoughts on it, because my entire perspective changed when I saw the last scene of the show. Now, don't get me wrong, it's still a very poorly made, poorly paced, poorly acted, and poorly written series, but at least we have that ending.
How bad it looks.
I've seen worse.
Oh, and spoilers for everything. Plus, I would just like to say that my favorite movie from this year is Sinners, and my favorite game is Expedition 33. So there's that. You can comment what you want about why you think I actually dislike this show. I really don't care. Do what you want. I'm gonna think what I'm gonna think.
Don't care, don't care, don't care, still don't care. I don't care. I don't.
But you know what? Why don't we go through the positives first? I thought the iron suits were good. They matched what the original Iron Man did in 2008. So way to not fail in terms of visuals behind a film that's almost 2 decades old at this point. You did it.
We knew you could do it!
Plus, I love the music, at least the real music by real musicians. Hate the generic corpo AI slop in the background sometimes. That was about 30% of the show, but when the real artist got showcased, I was enjoying it. So I would say that the music was either some of the best that they could have gotten or some of the worst at the same time.
I have strongly mixed feelings!
Oh, and I like the intros as well. How they introduced the IronHeart name each time was creative and well done. It made me nod in satisfaction. A lot better than Secret Invasion's AI garbage. At the very least, that is still the worst show to come out of Marvel. Period. Not even close. Complete and utter trash. Unless you can think of worse. What's your least favorite Marvel project? Leave a comment down below. I will respond to it.
Yeah, I'm better than you. Okay? Much better than you. You are garbage.
Also, I liked Riri's family. Her mom, kind of love interest guy, the wagon kid, especially the wagon kid. He was the only person in the entire show that made me genuinely laugh. Although the others' dialogue pretty much felt like HR was in the room whenever they spoke to Riri, so there you go.
Sounds
Bubble, you can't say that.
And Mephisto, he was so good. Probably the best written and acted character in the entire show by a large margin. There was a real presence with him. Could have done without the voice distortion, but it really felt as though someone important was in the room whenever the camera was on him. I can't take that away from the show at all. Felt like an entirely different series. Diamond in a turd. Because the other performances, well, let's just say that I don't consider excessive blinking to be good acting.
Jim, look! Behind this bush, there's a turd made of solid gold.
And there, the things that I liked. Glad we got that out of the way. Now, time for the fun part. And oh my god, I was so bored throughout the vast majority of this show, especially episode 1. That beginning was so bad that I wouldn't be surprised if the viewership dropped by about 40 to 60% after that initial episode.
What the hell is that?
And a lot of the pacing issues with the first episode and everything that came after that had to do with the length of the episodes. Oh my god, most of the episodes needed 25 to 30 minutes tops, and they pushed most of them to well over 50 minutes. It dragged everything out. You want to know why episode 6 was the best one? Because it was one, if not the shortest episode.
Oh, it's so obvious. I would have never thought of that.
Everything is dragged out to be as long as possible. It's excruciating to the point where I had to double task to avoid spacing out and losing track of what was happening. Not that I would have missed anything. And then 90% of the actual plot happened in the final 2 episodes. The rest of it was Riri speaking, mostly with characters that I actually disliked in every single way possible. And when she talked to the people that I actually did like, Riri was rude, selfish, and unethical with all of them. Yay! I am serious here. She is always in conflict with her saint of a mother. Her love interest guy is the only character who speaks real sense. Wagon Kid showed up for 4 scenes and he stole the show every single time. And she was super dismissive of her shaman friend, even though she was the one who needed magical help. So those scenes were brought down to the ground.
Well, that sucks.
And the other characters. Oh my god, the crew, Pyromaniac, Goldberg and Brock Lesnar, nails on a keyboard, knives and Hood. I didn't like a single one of them. They were bad people doing evil things and not being charismatic or funny at all. All of them look so bored, and by they I could mean individuals. I don't care about their real world identities. Their characters were poorly written and poorly acted. That is the only thing I care about. They can be whoever they want to be.
Don't care, don't care, don't care, still don't care. I don't care.
And we spent so much time with them. I was begging for the cops to catch up to them. They were so one-dimensional. All of them were morons. They did crimes because they enjoy stealing, hurting innocents, and killing people. Nothing is redeeming about them at all. At least have the decency to be charismatic like the Penguin or funny like Jesse Pinkman.
That's not funny. That's not.
And do not get me started on Feckless. If you watch the show, you know who I'm talking about without me even saying his name or describing him. Huey from The Boys brought to this show. I hate how pathetic and whiny he is. Every scene with him was torment. I was hoping that he would get killed off so that I didn't have to endure his feckless punching bag presence anymore.
Are you two still living?
Plus the tie-in with the first Iron Man movie. Pathetic, unnecessary, member berries. I rolled my eyes so hard that I gave myself a headache. I get it. I understand what he is supposed to represent. I get what you're trying to say, and wrapping him up in nostalgia doesn't make him any better. I still hate him and everything that he represents.
Yeah, remember Addicts? Remember Ghostbusters?
Finally, don't get me started on Natalie. I can't analyze her character. I can't remember her dialogue at all. I can't even think straight about this concept. I literally felt physically ill every single time she was on screen. No, I'm not kidding. Literally felt sick to my stomach. Oh my god. An AI recreation of a deceased person based on the fading memory of someone in mourning.
These are some ugly looking fish.
Maybe we're near one of those toxic waste dumps.
I think I'm gonna be sick.
And only the brother ever called out how disgusting this was. Everyone else treated the AI like this was fine and dandy. And even then the brother came around to it in the end, basically. Most of the scenes where she and Riri interacted treated the situation like it was lighthearted, okay, and fine. I really hope that Natalie would stay deleted, but I couldn't be that lucky, not with this show. Look, I have dealt with and am dealing with my own grief for different people. A lot happened in the past few years. It is hard. It is difficult. I love these types of themes, but how this was treated throughout most of the show actually angered me. I was so mad that my wife commented about how red my face was. If this happened to the loved ones I have lost, I would have lost my mind.
Hate, 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 hate. Double hate.
Loathe entirely.
It was only the ending that salvaged it at all, because I would have come into this video raging if not for that conclusion. It didn't justify my almost vomiting from the Natalie storyline. I could tell there were extensive rewrites on this because it didn't fit together perfectly, but a good ending fixes a lot of the problems that I had with Natalie throughout the show.
Pretty gruesome, huh?
I've seen worse.
because the ending cemented what IronHeart truly was, a supervillain origin story. I thought it was weird the entire way through just how plain unlikable Riri was. They didn't do a single thing to change her from her comic version, who most people think acts more like a villain than a hero. I mean, come on, her origin story was that she was mad that her teacher wouldn't be racist against her.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
That's right, her teacher told her that she could do anything she put her mind to, and this upset Riri, who demanded a challenge that her teacher didn't think that she could overcome. So her teacher shrugged and told her that she couldn't beat Tony Stark. So Riri made a AI Tony and effectively became Iron Man.
That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
All the while not actually being Tony Stark, because you can't become a person who already existed. That's not how life works. So at least Riri's backstory was changed to her wanting to accumulate a bunch of power, be acknowledged as the greatest in the world, have as much money as she could ever spend, and dismissively hurt anyone who gets in her way.
Really makes you think.
That's her personality and goals. Okay, the reason behind them makes sense. Her father and best friend were killed by gang violence, so she never wants to be that vulnerable ever again, and she wants to protect the people she loves, so she accumulates money to make herself powerful and crush her enemies without mercy, just like her own enemy, Now You See Me, and like almost all of the Spider-Man villains.
Good.
The entire time, except for the last 5 minutes, I was wondering if Riri was actually the hero or even a decent person in any conceivable way. She's rude to basically everyone. She casually steals when she needs things, like a flag from a guy sleeping on a bus. Riri, why didn't you just bring a tarp or a blanket or something? She blackmails, cheats, and threatens without remorse. I mean, the lady even flatlined someone, forcing him to suffocate to death, and she didn't even feel remorse for more than a few seconds, all because it was convenient for her. Man, that sounds familiar. Compare this to Breaking Bad and The Sopranos, the best crime shows ever made, with the main characters having mental health crises as their morals decay. Entire seasons are dedicated to that concept, and Riri is fine with it in about 5 minutes of screen time.
This is fine. I'm okay with the events that are unfolding currently.
And maybe Riri would be a bit more endearing if she acted intelligently for once. She's shocked that her student ID privileges were provoked before she got back to Chicago. Her answer to fixing things about half the time is to hit them. She doesn't seem to know how half the things she makes work. I mean, look at Natalie. How can you make a copy of your best friend by scanning your brain on a laptop and not know how you did it or how it works?
So I am confusion. Why is this one Kansas, but this one is not Arkansas?
She is stunned when bad people do bad things. You mean the gang you joined lies, cheats, and steals? That they kill members of the gang who leave? That they want dangerous levels of power? That they act defensively when you start snooping through their belongings? In fact, that was everyone. You rammed my head against the table for stealing your stuff. Oh my God, shut up. You're in a gang. Mobsters would do a lot worse to you than that.
Are you crazy? Or just plain stupid?
She's then shocked when Feckless uses her own tactics against her. Her every decision is poorly thought out. Riri, you have contacts in Wakanda. Get funding from them. Hey Riri, you're going to get expelled for helping people cheat. That's what happens. Hey Riri, of course criminals are bad people. Honor among thieves is just a saying for the stories. Crime attracts more crime, which leads to less morality, which corrupts the soul.
But you took something that wasn't yours, and you sold it for a profit. You're now a criminal.
And the thing that blows my mind is that the solution to her self-made problems were simple. Option 1, Wakanda. Option 2, start your own company and selling your inventions and weapons. Option 3, stay in the gang and don't investigate the cloak for no reason. Seriously, why did she do that? Why were you even scared of it? Did you have a gut feeling? You looked at it twice as like, oh no, I don't feel good about this. You're the one that joined a gang. What are you doing? Why did you pick the worst time possible to sneak a scan on the hood too? Just have your AI do it after everyone gets drunk at the after party. Plus, there's the simplest solution to getting out of the gang. Use your AI as collateral. Tell them that Natalie is already hooked up to the internet at all times. If anything happens to Riri or her family, information exposing the gang would be leaked to the feds. It's not that hard. Mutually assured destruction is how rival gangs exist, Riri. It's not that hard.
Oh, it's so obvious. I would have never thought of that.
And that's one of the biggest problems in the show. For the plot to happen, everyone has to make the stupidest decisions possible. Why did Knife Guy confront Riri in the field instead of back at base where he would have backup and no time limit? Why didn't Hood go with his squad to kill Riri? Why didn't Feckless just turn Riri into the feds to cover for himself? Stupid decisions to make the plot work. That's the key to great writing, alright? Not to mention the heists themselves. You mean to tell me that your plan was to have CEOs sign away shares of the company and that works in this universe? Do you know how much effort and time needs to go into that? Because people could just simply forge other people's signatures on a paper otherwise.
Stupid is stupid does, Mrs. Blue.
I guess.
Not only that, transferring the funds and shares would expose you. This is the MCU. We're acting like the feds can't track these idiots, and they wouldn't just ignore all this just for the fact that, oh, I don't know, they're working with someone with an Iron Man suit. All eyes would be on Chicago. I mean, come on. There are witnesses. It would take a detective maybe 12 minutes, maybe, to figure all of this out. Feckless was immediately arrested, but these idiots who stroll the streets and use an elevator that was already booby-trapped don't get caught. I mean, it's not like Riri's DNA is all over the tech that got Feckless arrested.
That missile is targeted to the Giant's current position! Where's the Giant, Mansley? What?
And here's the frustrating part. This show wants to use the fact that it's in the MCU to hypnotize you. You're supposed to remember the greater universe, meaning Iron Man and Doctor Strange, when it's convenient, but then forget all of the other characters who would immediately stop the misuse of an Iron Man suit.
It got up and it danced away.
It what?
It got up and it danced away.
Every single character has to be an idiot for this to work. There isn't even that long of a break between heists for the heat to die down. When the entire story relies on everyone being a moron and it isn't a comedy, the writing is just plain bad.
Well, this sucks.
The only reason I'm not dismissing the show altogether is because of that ending. Everything came together, making me realize that this wasn't about Riri becoming an independent hero. This was her supervillain origin story.
Excellent. Here, have a look. Good.
She's selfish, abusive, refuses to let things go, let people go, collects power for herself, and falls for deals with the devil. She lies, cheats, steals, betrays, and hurts people without second thought. The entire time I thought she was acting like a bad person, because she was, and because she is a bad person. She doesn't help a single soul other than herself. She's going to collect power for herself and force people to recognize her. If that was the goal, to make her into a supervillain, then the ending was done very well. Execution was pretty bad throughout the rest of the show. The Penguin, this is not, but I'm invested in a hero stopping her. Iron Man should, never mind. Okay, War Machine can, alright? So no one will stop her. She's going to win. Downer ending, Riri takes over the world, and she never pays Wagon Kid back for stealing his stuff. Got it.
Oh, I made myself sad.
Of course, I know that the intention was probably not to make her the irredeemable villain, but that's what this came off as, because without that kind of twist, this was one of the worst things I've seen in a while. The characters, themes, and pacing were so bad. I also think the social commentary falls flat when the people making it are criminals who do terrible, terrible things.
You're horrible.
You're an irredeemable monster! Oh, what took you so long, idiot?
Oh, this corpo lady deserves to be kidnapped and robbed because her company supposedly destroyed neighborhoods and not, provided a means of transportation that left the streets without much traffic, made clean neighborhoods and no violence except for Riri's group, plus no one in the team full of women and LGBT plus members had a problem with how this was going to end. And that scene with Hood in the car with her was very disturbing. What were you going to do to her if she refused to sign the paperwork, Hood? Tell us, huh? What were you, a grown man, going to do to this terrified small woman in a car with no way out? What were you going to do to her, Hood? What were you going to do to her? And how did he even get into that car? What exactly are the limits of his powers? Can he just turn invisible? Can he teleport? What is going on? Ugh. Not to mention that the cinematography kind of sucked. There wasn't a single shot that stood out to me. If it wasn't for the suits, this would be the most boring show I've seen from Marvel.
Getting kind of bored.
IronHeart was a hot mess, filled with plot holes, boring and unlikable characters, and themes of grief that fall flat with the conflicting tones with Natalie. There's some good music and CGI in there, plus Mephisto, so it's not the worst thing that I've ever seen, but you could literally watch the flashbacks of Riri with her friend and her father, and then the ending scene, and you would understand the entire experience. In fact, that would have been much more enjoyable as a very short film.
Now let's see how it looks so far.
Unfortunately, I don't think that this or any of the characters are going to get much of a comeback. I'd be shocked if this was renewed, because not enough people are going to be able to get through the first few boring episodes.
What else is on?
Yeah, let's do what else.
Where's the TV guy?
All of the members of the gang, gone. Off to be terrible people who miraculously escaped the government while being in public doing bad things. Yeah, they're not being tracked down at all. That's weird. Feckless probably back in jail because Riri ruined his life. Her family abandoned. Natalie forced to exist as a pale comparison of what the actual person was before she died. And plus, that kid is never going to get his wagon back or get paid for it.
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
Well, whatever. The grief stuff offended me. The rest of the show bored or annoyed me. I'd like to see a better version of this. Something that wasn't like a 3 out of 10 and something that's closer to like a 6 at least. You know, where the criminals are at least interesting, funny, charismatic, or had relatable goals or backstories. I mean, Hoodie had daddy issues. Alright, sad. I empathize with you. Your dad sucked. I can agree with that. But it's not exactly a good reason to kill people or to do whatever you're going to do to that CEO lady in the car. I'm still not over that. That was weird.
That was the plan. Not a great plan.
I'll look back at IronHeart as motivation, not to ever hang on to someone like Riri did. Just her best friend, not her dad though. He was mentioned a handful of times, but I think this is a learning lesson. Don't be Riri Williams. She's the perfect example of who not to be, both in terms of treating people and in terms of mourning those who are gone. Man, I really need to go back and play Expedition 33 again.
I'm not a coward.
You swore the oath. When one falls, we continue.
First, let's get one thing straight. I'm not crying. I'm just sweating through my eyes.
But what do you think? Did you like IronHeart? You're allowed to. That's fine. I'd love to hear the reasons why. Please leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And remember, if you disagree with everything I have to say, that is perfectly fine. After all, everyone is entitled to their objectively wrong opinion.
And that's all I have to say about that.
Thank you all so much for watching.
You're still here?
Good night, everybody. Thank you. You bye. Boom.
Do not despair.